Today we are talking shopping safety, and with me, directly next to me, is Officer Ryan Donnelly from the Quincy Police Department, and next to him is Officer Dave Flynn, also from the Quincy Police Department. Welcome to you both.
Thank you for having me back.
Thank you for having us.
Shopping safety. And we are recording this program in December, but shopping happens all year long. So the points that we are going to hit upon today really should be used as guidelines for the entire year. We'll start, I guess, with how worrisome is shopping safety? I mean, do you find there's theft, of course, online theft, and you and I did a program on identity theft, and which can be part of this program as well. But I guess we're speaking specifically of packages being left on porches and online shopping.
So if we talk about what you just stated, the package thefts, we get a ton of those calls. And also Flynn will elaborate on that because he's got the actual raw numbers. But in terms of the online shopping, it's who reports it, what type of fraud it is. Like, for example, when you get those random texts that you have a package at a UPS facility.
Which I just got about a couple days ago.
Yeah, that means that your information, your cell phone number, and probably your email are out on like the black web and people have purchased it and it got leaked. And don't ever click on that link. Don't ever click on the link. You should know if you have something coming, by way of Amazon, or if you ordered something from a third-party retailer overseas and it comes in through customs and then gets delivered by the Postal Service. You can always get informed delivery from the U.S. Postal Service. You sign up on their website, which they'll tell you daily what mail you're going to be getting, and then packages. I believe it's weekly. They'll say you should expect a package on Thursday, the 12th, or whatever day it is, and they'll tell you who it's from, not necessarily what it is, because they're not going to know what it is, but they'll say it's from UMass Delivery Service or something like that. And you'd be like, okay, that's this baseball card I bought or something. But we only find out the numbers of reported crimes, and a lot of these crimes are underreported for a couple of reasons. The first is that generally with Amazon, you just say you lost your package, they'll reimburse you the money or send you a new one. So why would you call the police?
Right.
Second, there's no suspect information. Like, say if you don't have a Ring doorbell or a doorbell that records drop-offs or when someone that you can talk through. And people like, hey, did you see anybody take something off my stoop? And they're like, no. It's like, well, if you have no information, there's not really a lot of for us to go on.
Right.
But the numbers fluctuate. Obviously, the package sets go through the roof. Right, Dave?
Yep. I would say, 50 to 100 packages maybe a week go missing in the city. The only problem is people don't report all of them. So we might get, maybe 3, 4, or 5 of those reported a week. For the reasons Ryan just mentioned, whether Amazon or a bunch of other companies, they'll just reimburse you or they'll send you out a new package. You know what I mean? Some companies will require a police report, and that's generally why we get them reported. But the big problem when people don't report them is that we can't look into it and try to find who's doing it. And if we can't do that, then these people essentially know that it's a crime they'll just get away with.
Right.
I can't speak too much to cases that we have going on, but there have been some where building management has been the one to call us because they're getting reports from a bunch of residents, about missing packages, and they'll go through their cameras and see the person doing it, and we've actually, we're starting to figure out who these people are and actually charge them.
Right.
But it just, none of those people have called us. I think only one reached out to me after I recommended to the building management that they reach out to us so that we could, have victims for the case and whatnot. But the only reason we knew about it is because building management reached out. So if they didn't do that, then, these people would have gotten away with, I think it was upwards of 50 packages that were taken in this one time, and they would have just gotten away with it.
So with that said, what can folks do when they're getting packages delivered or expecting packages to be delivered?
A few different things. So if you're living in an apartment building, I would definitely recommend when you get the notification that it's delivered, go down to wherever it is that they're stored, whether it's a mail room or a front foyer way, of the building. Sometimes the delivery drivers can't get into the locked area. They can only get into the area where the public can get into, so they leave them there. But I would recommend going downstairs and picking the packages up. Because sometimes we do see, excuse me, when these are taken that, you know, the package has been there for a day or two, and, you know, people are busy, I get it, but, you know, like if you're coming home that night and you know you have the package delivered, just pick it up on the way up. Make sure to get it in a timely manner rather than have it sitting out there. Same can be said if it's delivered to your house, if it's on the front steps or whatnot. Just make sure to get it in the house. It's tough because if it's sitting out there, I mean, it you know, kind of, I guess it doesn't really depend on where you live because it can happen anywhere. But, you know, we'll see things where other delivery drivers for other, you know, companies will be driving around, be in the area, and they'll be the one taking the packages and whatnot. So if you leave it sitting out there, it's there to be had.
Which makes me think if the homeowner, the resident, is going away, not a bad idea to let a neighbor know so that maybe they can collect some of these packages.
Have a friend or a neighbor do it. Another good tactic is to have your package delivered to a like package security place, like DHL, UPS. You can have it delivered to their staff, pick it up there, like a delivery service sort of thing. I mean, it's kind of antiquated now with, you know, Amazon directly distributing their packages and things like that. But you can say, hey, listen, can you drop it off at my PO box at the UPS store on Willard Street, right? Things like that. Having security cameras at your house, having signs saying that you have security cameras. I mean, that all those tactics dissuade people from doing that. Because they're going to be like, oh, I'm going to be on camera. Why would I take a package from Mark's house when I can just take a package from Ryan's house that doesn't have security? I have security cameras.
Well, I know
As do I.
And you know what it gets to the fact that a perpetrator is going to go for the easy target.
Yeah, so target hardening is a big thing. So a lot of times that's got a negative connotation to it, like, you know, you lock yourself in your house and things like that. Like, that's not what we're talking about right here in this specific instance. It's just simple things. You can put up, like the signs, like I said. You remember the old ADT stickers people used to have on their doors?
Right.
Big deal. People are like, oh, I'm not going to break in that house. It has ADT. Whether or not they have it or not, they're not going to take the chance. Criminals like the easy route. It's the path of least resistance. Same with electricity, right? So it's going to be, hey, listen, you know what? I'm going to go to this house. There's no exterior lighting. They shut their lights off at night. They don't have a dog. It's really quiet. You know, I kind of live in the area, so maybe I know Mr. Jones isn't home at this time of day, and grab a package. They may not know what's in the package, but I mean, there's always a secondary market for stolen goods. Like any profit you make off a stolen good is good profit, right?
Right.
The other things that you can do, you can install like an outdoor lockbox that's like a one-way box, kind of like a post office box, but like really small that you can put your packages in, that you can't like lift it back out once it goes in. They have those products online. Require a signature on delivery. That would kind of work a little better if you have staff at a apartment building, like Dave said.
Right.
You know, okay, Mr. Jones signed for my package. Mr. Jones, where's my package?
Yeah.
So the other things too are, if you live in an area where you don't feel confident that you're going to get your package, maybe send it to a relative's house. Have a relative who doesn't work or maybe has a day off come by and pick up like a real expensive package or any package that you have dropped off at your house. But those are just some good tips, just generally common sense things that people don't think about. I'm guilty of it too. Like, I came home the other day to my house, I had 4 packages on my front door, and I'm like,
How long have those been there?
I'm like this, you know, I'm like, we should really rethink how we do this, you know, but I mean,
with everybody out working, it does require planning.
Yeah, for some things, like if you're getting a real expensive item because either it's something that is individual, like a one-off, something that you ordered, try to set it up that you're there. You know, I know it's tough. People can't really take days off just to accept packages. Like, that's silly. You know, commerce would come to a halt in this country if that was the case with the amount of packages that are delivered. But, you know, if you know that it's coming on a Thursday, just say, you know what? if you have, sometimes with Amazon and stuff, you can select the time of delivery too. If it's like an immediate product that they have in stock that they can deliver that day, be like, oh well, 6 to 10, you know.
Right.
I do that with some of my parents are both retired, so I do that when I have them have deliveries. Like, hey, listen, it's coming 6 to 10, so keep an eye out for it. And my father will probably be like looking out the window, like, oh, there it is.
Yeah, but they have the advantage of having a son that's a police officer.
Well, I wouldn't call that an advantage. No, I'm joking. But it's just kind of the complacency is what gets people.
Right.
It's like you think that the situation that you're going through at the certain time, which is normal, is going to happen all the time and replicate itself. 99% of the time it does, but sometimes it doesn't.
You and I talked about in a previous program about the importance of when you're mailing, not to use your mailbox. In Quincy, folks don't have roadside boxes. Often in some rural areas, folks will put something in the mailbox, put the flag up.
Yep. Not
really encouraged.
No, I would I drop it off at a post office. I know in more rural parts of the country that can be a problem. But here we have the luxury where we're in a very densely populated area. We have multiple post offices in this city. I live in Kingston, so I know that there's the Kingston post office, and like we talked about before, you have the new mailboxes with, instead of the draw that used to come out, they could find that people would be able to fish letters out of there with checks, and then we have the whole check washing thing like we talked about last time.
Right.
But now they replace that draw with a slot, and then there's like little metal fingers that obviously you can push in to put the letters in, but you can't take anything out, even in this little slots in between the middle fingers. So like if you use like a device that had a sticky end of it to get the letters to bring it out, you can't get the letters out. You can put like the little sticky string in there and do whatever, like, you know, those old slap hands you used to get when you were a kid at the dollar store, right? Like, but that's what I think of when I hear people doing that. I'm like, oh, they got one of those sticky hands. They slap down there and try to grab a letter.
We've concentrated at the beginning of this program on having packages delivered. Mm-hmm. You had just said prior to the cameras rolling that you went out to a brick and mortar store.
I did.
Which not so many people are doing now.
It's a rarity.
It's a rarity.
Yeah.
And you miss those days. But let's talk about folks that do go to a mall, that do go to a store, and they're purchasing whatever they're purchasing. They're bringing it back to their car. Let's talk about, I guess, hiding what they have just purchased from sight.
So that's important. So before we get the objects from the goods from the store, let's talk about where you're going to go in the parking lot, right?
Good point.
So try to park in a well-lit area. Try to park close to the door if you can. If you don't have a handicap placard, obviously that might be a little bit difficult. But obviously when you're in the stores too, just situational awareness. Be aware of your surroundings, where the exits are. You know, who's walking around you. You know, this is what we should be practicing all of the time.
Right, and if you can go with someone to the store,
yeah, that'd be helpful
numbers.
too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I always usually bring my daughter, and she's loud, and be like, "Daddy, what's that over there?" You know, if something's off, you know. But that's good too. You know, you swim with buddy systems when you swim, right? So why not buddy system when you shop, right? So those things getting in the store is number one. You buy the product. You bring it back to your car, say, oh, I don't want to lug this around the entire mall or the outdoor. We don't really have indoor malls anymore, but the outdoor malls, I don't want to lug this. I got to go over to this other store across the way, right? But I want to walk. Put it in your car. What I usually do is I either have one of my daughter's old blankets or like a big beach towel. If you don't have a trunk, I have an SUV, so I don't have a trunk that you can't lock it in. That's number one. Like the thieves can't see what's in your trunk, right? But I have an SUV, so what I'll do is I'll put the stuff in the back, and then I'll put the blanket over it. So it just kind of looks like they can't tell what's under it. They don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze for breaking the window. That's not going to deter them 100% of the time, but just enough to think about it, right? So when we think about a crime happening, you have the crime triangle, right? You have the environment has to be appropriate. Okay, you have to have an offender there, and you have to have a victim. You take one of those elements out of that crime triangle, it doesn't happen. So we're not going to ever eliminate victims, right, as police officers in society, right? There's always going to be people who are going to be victimized by crime. You can't necessarily change the motivated offender, right? But what we can change is the environment. So with lighting, giving people tips like this so that they protect themselves, they're more aware. Parking close to the door and just common sense sort of situational awareness things, we can take one of those elements out.
And I would assume that in that same category would be, don't be fumbling for your keys. Have your keys ready when you're leaving
Yeah.
the building.
So nowadays, I mean, I have an older truck. It is what it is. It's 10 years old. So I have like a button, like an old, like the alarm button.
Right.
My wife's newer car, you walk up to it, the door's automatically unlocked because it senses the fob. So if you have an older car like me, you open the car from a little ways out so you're not fumbling at the door.
Right. If you are shopping with children that I just happened to fall upon, coach them on what to do if they become separated from you.
Funny story. So we got a little bit of time left. Funny story. So my
Absolutely.
daughter is very precocious. She likes to wander off sometimes. I try to hold her hand, but she's 8 now.
I knew you were going there.
Yeah, yep. So what we came up with is, it's funny, and I can't believe I'm going to do it on TV, is if she gets lost, she's supposed to say, hooty hoo, hooty hoo. And I'm supposed to know, like there's an owl in the store. And then I go, I'm like, where are you? And then same thing, like if I like lose sight of her somehow, say I'm looking at like a jacket in the racks at like a department store or something at Kohl's or whatever. And I'm like, oh, where'd she go? I'm like, hooty hoo. And then I hear from across the store, hooty hoo. And so funny things like that. But yeah, if you can develop a system in which you can get back in contact with your minor children in a department store and be a more diligent father than it sounds like I am, then that's a good point to have.
A great story. Good way to kind of push a point.
Yeah.
As you're shopping in malls or simply just any brick and mortar store, be aware of your wallet, where you place your wallet. Folks, I'm in the, I suppose, routine now of putting my wallet in my front pocket.
Yeah, so I don't carry a wallet. I usually carry a credit card and a little bit of cash I put in my front right pocket. So all you pickpockets out there, now I give away my secret. But the reason for that is that generally if someone bumps into you, you're going to feel, like a hand or pressure on the top of your thigh opposed to, maybe brushing up against something. You have your wallet in your back pocket.
Right.
With women with purses, like large purses, sometimes my wife will carry like a clutch, right? Make sure it's tethered around your wrist. Not in your back pocket. Same with your phone. I see people walk around with the phone in their back pocket. Put it in your front pocket. That's where I usually put mine, put it on like a clip. So someone can't just grab it off your belt, like bump into you and say, oh, sorry, hey. But for women who carry larger purses, 2 things. Don't leave it in the cart if you're at, like, say, Stop and Shop or another grocery store. With it open, we have a ton of those thefts and scams.
Yep.
And the other thing is, too, if it's on your shoulder, make sure it's zippered all the way. Some of them do have like kind of like locking mechanisms, like you can put something around the zipper. My wife has one of those. I don't know if she got it special or if that's like a common thing. I don't carry purses a lot, but make sure it's a lot. Yeah, once in a while.
Officer Van Minton once brought a purse in to demonstrate a point. I'm not asking you to do that.
I can absolutely do, my wife will be mad if I do that, but I can bring one in. We just can't cut it or anything. All right? But yeah, that's another helpful hint. Make sure that it's shut. I know a lot of times people will open it up and forget to shut it. And your wallet, like it may be hanging out of your back pocket. And to be honest with you, you're not going to need all your credit cards when you go out. Right? Just take one credit card, have a couple bucks on it, 2, maybe your license, stick it in your front pocket. Easiest thing to do.
Talking about cards, I'm just curious, is it better not to use your debit card and use credit cards when you're out? Does it matter?
I don't think that necessarily matters, but what I will say is that if you go to a retailer and you notice that the pad, like something's off, right? So I learned this from one of our detectives. So they have the skimming devices that we talked about last time, right?
Right.
And Detective Landry told me, he goes, whenever you go to a store, no matter where it is, tug on the little plastic pieces. People are going to think you're nuts, but if anything comes off, don't use that because there's a skimmer device on it. And sometimes the retailers don't know that they have skimmer devices on those pads, on those checkout pads. So every time I go into a store now, like, how there's the little rubber shielding around it, I tug on that, and then I tug on where the card goes for the chip. And if nothing moves and it looks like it's all encased, I'll put the card in there for the chip and things like that. Generally, with your bank, you have like purchase protections and things like that too. Like if there's fraud, they'll reimburse you, even if you use your debit card. Credit cards, and usually the debit cards are backed by Visa or MasterCard anyways, so they're protected under that too. So I don't think it really makes a difference between the two cards, but just always tug on those checkout pads.
When we were talking about entering, actually not only, I suppose, entering or exiting, I should say, a store, and especially if it's later at night, the importance of being aware of your surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
If you sense that maybe something isn't right, I would assume go right back inside the store.
In the store, yep. And just notify someone. Just say, hey, listen, I don't know if you should call the police, but is there a security guard here that can escort me out to my car? There's someone who's like lingering around the bushes and making me feel uncomfortable. Don't ever hesitate to call us. That's what we get paid to do, is to go out and make sure that these things don't happen. We'd rather be ahead of the curve than behind the curve, especially with victimization. So if someone is like, see something, say something, listen to your gut feeling. You know, that's like your primal thing there. That's either fight or flight.
Right.
You know, nature gave us that. Don't not pay attention to it. And they call that the gift of fear, you know, so you know something's wrong. Notify somebody else and just say, hey, listen, if you don't think it rises to the level of calling us, have security or another store employee escort you out to the car. But we want to hear about things like that. So don't be shy.
I want to get back to you, Officer Flynn, and talking about packages. And this actually could work both ways. We're back to the home environment now. Mm-hmm. And the importance of making sure that what you put out for your trash is maybe broken down. Like, you don't want to advertise, you just are the owners of a, I don't know, 52-inch or larger TV.
Yeah, no, I mean, your trash like that can kind of hint to what you have inside your house. So if somebody's driving around or looking to case houses or whatnot, and to do it randomly, not specifically targeting anybody, then that could certainly be an indicator.
So try to break down your recycling or your trash.
Yeah, I would break it down. Something like that. I mean, you have to put it out there. There's really no two ways around it. But, I mean, if you could break it down, hide it, you know what I mean? Sometimes you can't. But I'll usually take all the labels off, too, so that way nobody knows the address that the box went to, or, you know what I mean, if it's something like that, whether it's an Xbox, a PlayStation, or a 52-inch TV or whatever.
Right.
But it definitely can be an indicator of what you have in your house.
And I guess maybe talk about the importance of having, I suppose, a well-lit. We talked about the importance of maybe having some kind of security sticker that this house is being monitored by, kind of a thing. But what about maybe solar lights, something that's going to light up the area that won't make it? Because I would assume that thieves, for the most part, would operate under the cover of darkness if they can.
Criminals hate light.
Right.
It's the number one deterrence is light. Better lighting, by far, with the whole world of crime prevention through environmental design. It's a discipline that we use all the time, but I mean, engineers and city planners use it too, believe it or not. Lighting has the number one effect on deterrence of crime. Simple. And you can get light bulbs dirt cheap now. So one thing that we have at our house is my wife likes to change the front lights out, like red for Christmas and then like a neon blue for Halloween. So it's like 3 months out of the year, we don't have bright lights out there. We have like a post with a light on it, and we don't have street lights where I live. So I'm like, we got to put those regular lights back in, But we do have lights, like say by the garage and things like that. You have storm lights, like the big, lights in your driveway, like for like a storm, like a big, floodlight.
Right.
Those are always good to have on too. But lighting is the number one deterrent for crime. Period.
Getting back online now, dealing with the online purchases, I'm just going to run down these, and you can probably comment on them maybe all at once. Be wary of online deals that are too good to be true, that sound too good to be true. Be aware of online sellers, especially those that ask you to wire payment, and only do business with vendors' websites that you feel are secure.
I agree with all those. The wiring of money instead of using a credit card, that's a number, delete. So The vendors can be a little bit tough because sometimes what you think is a big box retailer will have like a third-party vendor and it'll say like a strange name that's overseas or something like that. Just do your due diligence. You know, if it makes sense, the price with things too. Like if it's like, oh, 99 cents for this $400 shirt, you know, maybe not. It's all common sense things. It's just, if it looks too good to be true, it generally is. So.
And with that said, just keep, I suppose, a view on your credit cards. Look over your statements, make sure everything's accurate.
Yeah, so a lot of times I've had it with 2 cards. We've had fraud. Someone's gotten our credit card numbers somehow, some way, not by any retailer. One was American Express. They'll call you and they'll say, hey, listen, we noticed some fraudulent activity. And same with MasterCard. I haven't had an issue with a Visa or anything like that, but I know those 2 personally. They're like, hey, we noticed some possible fraudulent activity. Were you in Atlanta or at Joe's Barbecue? And it's like, no. So they're like, okay, we're shutting it off right now. We'll send you a new card.
Often when folks travel, they will need to inform their bank or their credit card issuer that they would be potentially making purchases from this location.
The other thing you can do is you can get an app for all your credit cards, right? So like say if you have like a Visa through like Hilton or Marriott or Hyatt or something like that, right? Or an Amex card, you can just go on, have the app on your phone. I usually do it daily just to say, okay, is there anything new on here? I made that charge. My wife made that charge. If you see anything that's out of order, you can freeze the card automatically from your phone. You can freeze it and unfreeze it. Discover was actually, I think, the company that started that. You freeze it on your phone. And then generally when you do that, they'll see it on their end and someone will contact you and be like, hey, is there something we can resolve for you? Is there an issue with your charges and things like that? So
I mentioned credit card statements, certainly bank statements, be aware of those and check them. The last thing I would like to end, well, the thing I'd like to end with, I suppose, is limit use of free Wi-Fi.
100%. Anything that's not secured, your home Wi-Fi may not be secured. So you have to look at that. Your iPhone will actually be able to tell you if it's a secured network or an unsecured network. You can also get VPNs for your phones, things like that will kind of make it a little bit safer and kind of not really tell where you are. That's another aspect of a VPN. But don't use the free Wi-Fi at a store. Use your cell phone carrier. A lot of times data packages now are unlimited because it's just, the technology is better, so it's cheaper. So like, for example, I go to BJ's all the time, right? As soon as I go to look at what coupons do you want to use our Wi-Fi, nope. Hotels too, it can be a little tough depending on where you are. Like for example, I took a trip to Florida and stayed at a hotel. The reception was not good because it was a high rise and it was made out of concrete because of the hurricanes. So I'm like, you know what? I'll use the Wi-Fi. My email got hacked. I was there for 4 days. My email got hacked. My Facebook got hacked. All that stuff. And I was getting emails from people and calls like, "You all right?" Like, I got an email saying you're asking for money. I'm like, what? Like I'm in Florida, like chilling out at the beach. Like I'm good, you know. But try to limit those free Wi-Fis. I know that they say that they're protected. Don't believe them.
We are at the end of the half-hour program. I want to thank you both for coming in. Certainly a lot of information to get into a half hour, but all great tips. And again, we talked about a lot of these being just something we should automatically do, but sometimes we become too complacent and
It's hard.
We don't realize.
It's hard. The complacency's tough because you're busy doing your daily tasks, work, life, kids, family, and it's just like, where'd the day go? And then you just got to try your best to be careful of your surroundings.
Very good. On that note, we'll end the program. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And thank you at home for watching, and please remember to support the local access station in the community in which you reside.